This is Rustin Rose of Metalholic Magazine and Access Entertainment, and with us today, the amazing Johanna Sadonis of Lucifer. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
First off, congrats on making the cover of Decibel Magazine. That's no small feat for a new band.
I know, right? Thank you.
You guys have to be pretty excited that the buzz is so big already.
I know, it's happening very fast. I can tell you that.
Well, the oath is broken and Lucifer rises. Tell us about the journey.
The journey. It was very unfortunate when the oath died, and I didn't want it to end. I had a lot of plans for the oath. However, it did, and I thought I just channel all this energy that I had and turn it around into something positive. And I sat down and created Lucifer. And I had the drummer, Andrew Prestige, who's playing with Lucifer now, already with the oath. And the bass player that I have in Lucifer, Dino Gornick, he used to play for Ladytron and for many other bands, and he was already in the talks to be with the oath. So I had those two guys at hand, and immediately, and I was looking for a guitar player, and Gaz, being the guitar player of Cathedral, which Lee Dorian, my label boss, is his band, so all the ties are very close, so I had him right away as well. So was a pretty fast and furious turnaround from the death of the oath into the creation of Lucifer, and now having released the album so fast.
Yeah, I was going to say it happened pretty quickly. As a matter of fact, ironically enough, I was scheduled to do an interview with you, and then it suddenly got canceled because of the demise of the oath. But now the debut album, Lucifer I, or Lucifer I, however you're calling it, is wonderful.
Lucifer I.
Lucifer I. That's what I thought. The beginning of the tale, if you will. But it's a wonderful album. And you've moved more into a heavy rock sound than what you were doing previously, although some of the same feel remains. Was that intentional, or was that just the songwriting chemistry you have with Gaz?
No, that was intentionally. Before I asked Gaz to play, I had a full concept in my head. And I did not want to repeat the oath because I thought, there's no point in trying to do the same thing over. And also, Linnea, the core in influences is very similar. You have that, what you had in the oath as well, the doom and the moody kind of hard rock stuff. But the oath was leaning very heavily into 80s heavy metal, new wave of British heavy metal. I wanted to take that out of Lucifer and have Lucifer be have more depth and more eclectic, which works perfect with Gaz because he's just such a good guitar player. Linnea had a very good style, that she had a very raw playing, which fit perfectly for the oath. But here I have Gaz, who's his riffs are crazy, and his technique of playing and all the solos and all the things he can do. So I had the plan to for Lucifer to be a heavy rock / doom band, and that worked out really well with Gaz.
Well, and I understand you've taken to calling Lucifer's sound magic rock. Why let someone else label your sound when you can name it yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also I thought the oath was a heavy metal band. I want Lucifer to be a heavy rock band. And since the band does have a lot of spiritual content, magic, I thought heavy magic rock, that's great. And I didn't want to, because we've been labeled occult rock, and that happened already with the oath. And it's been a bit, I don't know, the thing about this whole occult rock term is that it turned into some sort of insult lately, and I thought that sounds like when somebody labels you an occult rock band, that sounds like a Johnny-come-lately, which I certainly not am, because I've been into this kind of music and into magic, since I was a little teenager over 20 years ago. So I just didn't want to have this kind of Johnny-come-lately term attached to the band, and thought I'd just give it my own term.
Well, tell us about the debut album from your perspective, because I know you were quite proud of the album you made with The Oath, and that sort of pride fed your hunger to create Lucifer. So what does this record mean to you now that it's ready for the masses?
Yes, it's true. I did love The Oath album, and I'm still very proud of it. But I have the feeling, as much as I love The Oath, the more passionate I am now about Lucifer. Lucifer turned out to be even more so my thing. And that goes for the album. It was the songwriting process was a different one as well, and for me it's just more defined and goes much deeper. So I am very proud of this album. For me personally, it's the best thing that I've done in my life. So musically, I'm very excited about this release. I hope people would dig it as well. So far the response has been actually really good, but that comes from journalists. Let's see what people will say who actually buy the record. That's what was counting. So
absolutely. So. Now, many of your musical influences are readily identifiable, but what fuels your creative muse, if you will, when you write? I know spirituality and philosophy are important to you.
Yes, absolutely. Angles and perspectives to look at life, where you find you can draw from all the various religions and philosophical angles. And then it's a journey inside yourself. Everything that you compiled over the years, when you sit down and you write, my songs are very emotional and personal. So all these stories, even though they might be wrapped into metaphors and symbolism, behind all those symbols and figures that I use, they're standing always an important person, a key figure in my life, or a personal story that happened to me. So everything that I write about at that moment in time is something that sums up everything that I am in that moment of my life. So I guess it's more of an inwards journey, and also, to cope with life and all the big questions, about living and dying and everything beyond. So I just draw from within. The
duality of everything, right? So.
Yeah, I say that because people ask me, are you a Satanist? I say, well, flirting with the devil, might be sexy and interesting, but it's very one-sided, and you do, everybody has their dark side, but and their demons, but all this wouldn't exist without the beautiful things and the light things in life, and exactly, that's the duality of things, and none exists without the other.
Well, and that's sort of a nice segue to the sonic side of things, because one of the things that immediately impressed me right out of the gate with the album is that you did not sacrifice melody to create the dark mood of the record. Abracadabra is a decidedly up-tempo beginning to the record and very melodic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also, that's why I picked the way things look, the album cover and so on. I didn't want it to be just, doom and gloom. I wanted to involve all emotions and moods, that play into your life. Yeah.
Well, I've always sort of wondered these days in hard rock and heavy metal when it became a bad thing for dark, heavy music to be without melody anyway, melody. Yeah. It was always such a huge part of hard rock and metal for me was the melodic sense of it. It would seem like that became trendy or passé and it became the bad thing and it had to be taken out like it was a cancer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, rock and heavy metal went through so many crazy phases, since it's been around. And but my big influences for Lucifer are the old bands, the forefathers of everything, the root of everything. And there you find, very extreme moods and melodies, and I'm always striving to, when I write vocal melodies, for example, I don't write the lyrics first. I usually I sit down with the songs and I write the melodies first, like a musician. It's kind of like composing, and I try to put a lot of effort into making extremely melodic, so treat it like an instrument,
Right. Now, last week you guys released the video for Israel. Was that the director's vision or was that the band's vision for the video?
That was my vision. The thing is, with Lucifer, that everything that you see, all the visual stuff and the content and so on is my brainchild. And I had this idea because the song Israel is an alternative spelling to Azrael. Azrael is the angel of death. And I had a dream where the angel of death appeared to me and woke up completely stunned in the morning. And so the song is about him and being taken away. And so I thought, because I always also like to see things with a bit of a humorous streak. So I thought, okay, I'm going to, drive the band to the cemetery. And there it is. Yeah.
Now, I know you're fond of all the tracks on the record, obviously. You wrote them and it just came out. But is there one that means perhaps a bit more to you personally than the others?
That's really hard because all of them are very personal, but I can say that Sabbath is maybe a song that is aimed and is about somebody that means the world to me. And therefore, I guess, musically, I love all the songs, and for me, there's no filler on the album. And actually, it's funny because the band just got into Berlin yesterday because we play with Pentagram tomorrow, and we've been rehearsing yesterday. We had to cut our set list short, and it was really hard to decide what songs to take out. Really hard, and because I can't say goodbye to, it's like when you have 10 children, you don't want to leave 3 behind, when you run out of the burning house.
Exactly.
Kind of like that, But, all the stories in all the songs are personal, but I guess since Sabbath is about a person that is most important to me, maybe that would be the one then.
Nice. All right. So a couple of more quick questions before we get out of here, just to learn a little bit about who you are, because this isn't your first band. This isn't your first foray into music. You've been doing this for a while. So for those who aren't familiar with you yet, tell us a little bit about your path into heavy music.
All right. Well, I went to my first heavy metal concert when I was 13 in the very early 90s. And, I started off, listening to, I guess what all teenage girls in the metal scene listen to, Guns N' Roses, Metallic, Danzig, and so on. But then 15, 16, I had a heavy death and black metal phase. Well, I started playing in bands when I was 14, and I did the first demo cassette that I'm on 15 years old was a death metal band, and so on. And over the years, you develop as a musician and you go through musical phases and so on. And yeah, I've been involved in many different bands and projects and have done guest vocals for a variety of bands. But certainly, The Oath and Lucifer, for me, is obviously elevated. Everything before is kind of a journey in development. It's like your personal evolution as a musician. And I guess I feel like with Lucifer, I finally arrived where I want to be. And I could not have done it this way 10 years earlier, So.
Right.
But yeah, I've been around for a long time. I'm also, very involved in the metal scene. I've over the years put up many shows, and I have an old school heavy metal club night in Berlin going for the past 6 years. I DJ a lot, so that's music's everything for me.
Nice. Yeah. So, was there an album or two that sort of changed your life or sort of informed your musical journey?
I couldn't say it's just one or two albums. It's like a whole variety of things that shaped me. Lucifer is influenced by so many things. Obvious things that I say, but also I don't only listen to heavy metal and hard rock. I listen to all kinds of different stuff. I listen to classical music. I listen to old blues and old rock and roll, and I don't know what. I even listen to fucking Lana Del Rey. So. I'm influenced by so many things that touch me in one way or another. And as long, as something is very sincere and from the heart and it's blowing me away, it's going to be an influence in me. And so I can't really answer with like one or two albums. It's impossible. Because I've been a music freak since I can think, And what I can say is I discovered the dark side of things when I was 13, 14 with Danzig. Danzig kind of took me onto the dark path, and that was Lucifer and How the Gods Kill,
Right.
And to this day, I'm still a huge Danzig fan, the old stuff, So that definitely put me on a dark path, It's Glenn's fault.
Awesome, Johanna. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And we look forward to seeing you guys come over to the States here with your upcoming tour at the end of July. Very excited about that. Have